On today's Fellowship of the Rink, Joe and Isha sit down with Wes Walz, break down the recent stretch of Minnesota Wild, playing down to their competition, how they rally and pull out of this skid, and would you rather? Dallas Stars or Colorado Avalanche? Then Spoke Z joins first to talk about all of the news around Auston Matthews, tampering, injury, what have you. Then we talk Gopher Hockey, break down really what went into their demise this year and assessing all of the players that decided to go pro. This episode is brought to you, as always, by our incredible local partners at Waggle Golf. Everybody go to getyourwaggleon.com. Use that promo code SP10 to take 10% off your entire order, or check them out at their brick and mortar locations out in Blaine and Maple Grove here locally. Enjoy the show.
Joining us again, friend of the show, and you guys know him well at this point, fans of the Minnesota Wild and the Fellowship of the Rink show under the SOTA POD network, your own Wes Walz. How's it going, Wes?
I'm doing good. Great to be with you guys. I'm just got out from underneath all the snow here. I had to pull the snowblower out like everybody else, and just packed it away here about a half an hour ago. Hopefully we don't have to pull it out again for another 12 months.
Hey, I hear you. I did my driveway. I did my neighbor's driveway, and I have there's an older woman who lives a few houses down, and I'm going to do her driveway in a bit. So I'm working up a sweat this morning.
Good for you, bud. Good for you. Those are great points to put in the bank in the neighborhood. No question about it.
I just got back from a month in Arizona and Texas, so I needed a little polishing. I needed to get back into the groove.
Of course, that's nice. That's nice. And when you're on the road, when you're in Arizona and you need things happen around the house and you're not there, make a couple of phone calls. Hey guys, when I took care of your driveway there, if you can help me out with this or that, that's always nice too.
And I've only been a Minnesotan for 4 years, so the whole concept of storm of the century is all new to me, or how many inches are coming, stuff like that. Like in Florida, every storm was a storm of the century. Every hurricane coming was pick up your house, like the Wicked Witch of the North, and it's going to somewhere else.
Could it be the last?
Yeah. So Wes, from your experience, I guess just there was this one, so usually one of these a year that's people are saying, oh, it's gonna be 15, 18 inches, whatever like that, or sometimes they're more less bark than bite, I guess. So
yeah, I mean, I grew up in Calgary. I grew up with snowstorms like this all the time. So it's like Tuesday for me. You just get ready to just deal with it, and you've learned to handle it. My oldest son is actually 33 today. This is interesting you say that, because in 1993, if you Google, I was living in Hershey, Pennsylvania at the time, playing hockey there, and to the day, March 16th, right around that time, we had a snowstorm of the century. I happened to be in Utica, New York, about 3 or 4 days before my son was born. And I rented I called a cab driver in Utica to see if he could get me back, because my wife was going into labor a week earlier. Anyway, I ended up getting back through a crazy, crazy snowstorm. We would not have been able to fly back to Hershey or Harrisburg. Probably would have flew into there. So that's interesting. We're talking about snowstorms when 30 years ago to the day we had an incredible one in Pennsylvania that I'll never forget either.
Well, perspective with snowstorms and perspective in a scope of a hockey season, I wanted to get your insight on this. You look at the recent stretch by the Wild, losing 3 straight at home, obviously non-playoff teams, losing 4 of 5. I think 4-4 and 2 coming out of the Olympic break. I think the mantra from some of the guys, and even John Hines, is every team goes through this. This is just one of those stretches, just happens to be now. Are you the believer in that particular aspect of it in this particular moment, or are there maybe some little signs of concerns you see, not major ones, but little signs of concerns that are, hey, if you want to be playing your best when the time is right, there's things that need to be kind of corrected?
Yeah, I have to be honest, and I mean, the Wild fans know I'm an honest guy, and I like to tell it how it is, and I'm not overly concerned. I have to be, honest. The Wild, the last couple games against the Flyers, and obviously the game there last night. If you look at the underlying numbers of those two games, I mean, the Wild should have got 4 points out of both those games. I mean, I think the offensive zone time against the Flyers, I think we were plus 8 minutes, which is actually unheard of. And then I was just, before I did the pod, sitting here with you guys, I went on and looked at the numbers from last night in Sport Logique. We had the puck 30 minutes in the offensive zone. They had the puck 13 minutes in the offensive zone. I've never seen anything like it. So am I concerned? No, not really. I got to be honest. You're going to go through stretches during the season where things aren't going your way. If you think about the Flyer game too, Joe, I think two of the 4 goals went in off our skates. Last night, one went in off of, one went off one of our skates and went in past Wallstedt. So we haven't had a whole lot of puck luck. We have been able to get some pucks in and around the front of the net, but just haven't had those bounces where it hits a shin pads and goes on someone's stick. And I don't care what anybody says, especially in the playoffs too. You need a little bit of good fortune. I don't care what anyone says. A little bit of good fortune goes a long way and is always welcomed. So the Wild to be able to have to go through a stretch right now where, they've lost 4 or 5 and they're not, maybe getting the wins that they want. I'm not as concerned as most folks around the league. There's one area of the game that I have been excited about, even though the Wild have not been winning the last 4 or 5 games, and that's in the face-off circle. The Wild, I think they may have fallen just under 50% at the end of the game there last night, but their face-off percentage is the last 4 or 5 games since Michael McCarron has come in, and Ryan Hartman's been, I think over the last 11 games, I want to say 54 or 55%. Something's clicked with Ryan Hartman in the face-off circle too. I haven't had a chance to ask him if he's just going through a good stretch or if he's figured something out, but something to look at going into the playoffs is face-off win percentage because we know against the Dallas Stars, they're always a very good face-off. That's an area that's gone in the right direction for the Wild for sure.
Stolar's also just played out of his mind yesterday too. He had like a 95 save percentage, and the Vancouver, British Columbia boys, Troy Stetcher and Riley had a good night too. So it just seemed like the Leafs had a lot of puck luck in that second period as well. And you said it, Wes. The underlying numbers in the Philly game and the Maple Leafs game in particular, the Wild should have won that game. Like when Tarasenko scored that second one, I was like, okay, the boys are back. We got this. But
listen, I'm not a moral victory guy. I never have been. It's, in big games when the lights are on, you got to play your best. You got to win. But there is the bad bounces, possession arrow, whatever you want to call it in basketball right now is pointed toward the opponent. And I don't know when it's going to switch back over. But when it switches back over, it just goes the other way. So not too overly concerned about it. But I will say this. The first periods, the teams, the non-playoff teams that the Wild have played here the last 3, St. Louis, Philly, and Toronto, their first periods have been just okay. They haven't been terrible, but I always found this as an ex-player when you're playing teams, and when I played, we never played teams like this, but the Wild are just so dominant that when you're playing teams that maybe don't have as much firepower as you, if you can show them that it's going to be a hard night, the first 20 minutes of a game, a lot of teams will go away, especially this time of the season. And the Wild just have not put the best foot forward early in games to force those teams to make that decision. Do I want to play hard tonight or not? So they've kind of opened the door and they've made it harder on themselves, to be honest. So these next couple games against Chicago, I would love to see them think about just, if I'm the Wild coming into this game tomorrow, I have one key to this game. I want 15 to 20 shots on net in the first period. That's it. That's all I want. If I'm a coach, one thing, get everybody on the same page and try to get to inside ice and make it hard on teams that have not made the playoffs.
And from a player side of things, and like obviously, they see the numbers like you do. They play the game, so they feel what's going on. Like if you're a player and you have these results and you have like dominant periods of time and you don't win, you see Zuccarello and look like he's frustrated too. Like, how do you handle it? Are you more? It's easier to handle those kind of losses where you feel you have that kind of stretch a play versus other way around, or like are they able to kind of get the frustration out of their system, seeing what they maybe could have had, I guess, in a recent game?
This interview is brought to you by our friends at Waggle Golf. Waggle Golf believes what you wear on the course should reflect your individuality, who you are, where you're from, your hobbies, interests, and passions. All the stuff that makes you, well, you. That's why every design is inspired by the desire to create a piece of apparel that strikes a chord when you see it. That makes you say, wow, that was made for me. Because in a lot of ways, it was. Ready to get your waggle on? Go to getyourwaggleon.com, throw in promo code SP10 at checkout to take 10% off your entire order.
Yeah. You've gotten a sense here the last couple games or the last, week that there is some frustration in the Wild's game, but this is a good test. This is a good test because when you go into the playoffs and you're playing in big games, you're going to go through stretches, guys, where you're going to have the upper hand in games and you're going to feel like you should be up 1 or 2 goals in a game, and you're not going to be, because you're going to be playing against the best goalies in the world in the playoffs. And the test that players have is like when you're not getting the success or the results that you should have, can you stay patient, or are you going to get impatient and get outside your game and start cheating for offense? Then all of a sudden you're giving up a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-1, and you're going to be playing in 1-goal games in the playoffs. And that one mistake you make is going to cost you a game. Are you prepared to continue to play the same way when things are not going your way? That's it. That's huge. That's a huge test for any team that makes the playoffs. And right now, like the Wild's game, when things, the test is, can they continue to play the last? I know they've lost the last 2 games. I love the way the Wild have played. The only thing I would like to see is maybe early in games getting to inside ice and being more ready to play at the beginning of the games. But you look at the 4 periods, the second and third from the last 2 games, I mean, it's basically been keep away. So you can't really disparage the Wild the way they've played. But for me, the test is going to be going forward when things aren't going great. And that's what I'm watching. That's what Coach Hines is watching too. Do they start to get away from their game, cheat for offense, and get impatient? Because teams that are impatient and cheat for offense at the wrong times, they usually figure out a way to lose games.
When I look at the trade deadline, and I think me and Russo were reporting all along that Guerin wanted to try to find a top 6 center. The Trocheck's name was out there, and Robert Thomas and stuff like that. And the way that ended up is obviously upgrading their depth offensively. You mentioned the face-offs with McCarron. How do you feel about the way that they were able to add to the deadline in terms of the context of the team they already had, and in terms of how they could play in the playoffs? What did you feel overall about the guys that they brought in? Well,
I mean, they did the best they could. I mean, obviously Billy was big fish hunting. There's no question about it. We all know how Billy rolls, but he wasn't willing to part with the pieces and, pay an extraordinary premium to bring in a number 1 center. And if it was Vincent Trocheck, I wouldn't have wanted to empty the cupboards for him. I really would not have. I've been on record here and said this before. I don't know who's going to be available this summer, but Robert Thomas for me, guys, is a perfect fit for this organization. The way he's kind of a pass first guy that can score. And looking closer at Robert Thomas's numbers, I think in the faceoff circle as a right-handed faceoff guy, I think he's been 55%. He's figured something out in the faceoff circle over the last 3 years of his career. And that's a positive sign. I think he's finished inside the Selke for defensive centerman as well. You need a 200-foot player. He's the guy for me. But having said that, you knew that going into this deadline that an area Billy wanted to shore up. And he overpaid for sure, a little bit overpaid for Michael McCarron, giving up a second-round pick. But Billy understood that bringing in Michael McCarron, a right-handed faceoff guy that can be 55% in this faceoff circle and pretty much guarantee that is a really important piece to the the Wild getting a chance to beat the Dallas Stars. If you look at the playoffs, guys, the last, Vegas wasn't bad. I think we gave up 5 or 6 playoff goals. But if you look at the previous 2 series before then, I think it was St. Louis and Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
We got crushed in the face-off circle on the penalty kill. Mm-hmm. When you have to go into a series and play Roope Hintz, who's a left-handed face-off guy, and Gabriel Landeskog, if you happen to get past Dallas, those guys are taking the face-offs on their power play to start the power play. When we played them in the playoffs, Ryan O'Reilly actually was taking face-offs for St. Louis back then. They're winning 90% of the draws against us in the series. Mm-hmm. No chance to beat them. That has to get taken care of. It has to, if you want to have a chance to beat Dallas. So now we're going to be putting out Michael McCarron against Roope Hintz. Hopefully we can win 50% of those draws. It's a big deal. And our penalty kill face-off, in my opinion, really put us in a deep hole in the playoffs the last few years. And bringing in Michael McCarron is going to help in that area for sure. We've seen it. I think he's around 60% in the 4 or 5 games that he has played. So yes, we went deep sea fishing for a number 1 center. Didn't get it, but I thought the hole that really needed to be plugged was a right-handed face-off guy, and Billy went out and got somebody.
And you look at I think it really is the amount of guys they brought in. Obviously, Fabbri on waivers. You have Bobby Brink, who had a really good first game. Like, it feels like there's a lot of competition now for those last couple of roster spots. And as a player, I'm sure if there's a deadline and you're on the Wild team and they brought in a couple of guys like that, I'm sure it raises some eyebrows for you and ups your game, I guess, right? I feel there's got to be some sort of everyone's looking over their shoulder like, hey, there's going to be 2 guys that are sitting out. Like when Marcus Foligno comes back.
Yeah. Like, and guys that can play, that have experience, that have scored, that can play. Of course, that competition is really, really important. And even Jeff Petry got his first game there last night. I think he probably played 10 or 12 minutes, probably didn't play a whole lot, but I thought he made a lot of great plays with the puck. Showed some nice experience. So again, even for guys like Bogosian and there's going to be some internal competition on the back end too. So anytime, they added beef, obviously bringing in Nick Foligno and McCarron are 2 big guys that are going to play on the 4th line. When you're playing a Dallas in the first line, because that's all anybody's thinking about right now, guys. We got 5 more weeks to play games. And I've never been in this situation where I've been in a locker room and I know who I'm going to play in the first round 5 weeks before the playoffs start. Guys, the human nature thing really does kick in at some point.
It's like an MMA fight where you're just waiting. You're just waiting and game planning to fight your opponent already. Yeah,
I mean, and listen, Dallas is thinking the same thing. They're like, I can't believe we know who we're going to play in the first round. And
stay healthy, stay healthy.
Well, that's number 1. And you talk about the bad bounce possession arrow and stuff like that. You need some good fortune in that area too, just to keep everybody healthy. And I know Dallas has got some guys banged up right now with Roope Hintz and I think Rantanen. I'm not sure if he played last night, those 2 guys or not, but they've been out of the lineup. So they're going to get some fresh guys back too. So they're crossing their fingers too, Dallas headed, because they know they got to play the Wild in the first round. That ain't going to be a lot of fun. And the fact that those 2 teams have to play each other in the first round is we'll save that one for another podcast, boys.
Yeah. And Dallas is only 3 points behind Avalanche right now because they went on a roll. So who knows what happens in that next month? But I do think it'll be Dallas second place and then Colorado first. But they could switch too. It could be Avs in the first round too.
You never know. And to be honest with you, the way Dallas is playing right now, maybe you want Colorado,
which would be kind of scary to think about that way. But and you look at the first round series, whether it be you mentioned the offensive players, but you look at Heiskanen, McCarr with Colorado. How much of a difference maker? How much of a kind of a series shifter can a Quinn Hughes be? I don't think the Wild have ever had a guy like that who could be that much of a difference in the back end. So in terms of, does that give them a little bit more better chance having a guy like that in those kind of series where a defenseman can change the game in that respect?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the offensive zone time the Wild have had since they've brought in Quinn Hughes, I haven't looked at the numbers, but they've got to be, 20, maybe 15, 20% higher every game. And the fact that you don't have to play in your own zone as often when you've got a guy that can just go back and wheel through the neutral zone and get the puck in the offensive zone is definitely going to help. There's going to be there's going to be times in games in the playoffs, if you want to have a chance to get past anybody in the playoffs, you're going to be down a goal in the third period. You're going to need high-end guys that can make big plays and make other players better around them. So, walking out that tunnel with somebody like Quinn Hughes is going to help this team. It's going to put them in a good spot. But again, it's interesting now. We have 15 games left, and Coach John Hines is. He juggled the lines around a little bit during the game to try to spark something. Tarasenko got a couple goals in the third period. And I just think over the next 10 games, especially, I think the last 4 or 5 games, you want to be set and know which 12 forwards and 6 defensemen are going to be playing together. You want to have that set with 4 or 5 games left. But these next 10 games for me, guys, is going to be a little bit of, in my opinion, should be a little bit of experimenting, playing certain guys with certain players, because there's going to be times when you play Dallas where maybe Brock Faber and Jonas Brodin need to play together against the other team's top lines when we have last change. And you don't want to be doing that in game, halfway through game 1 when you're down 3-1 and trying to figure out, like, you've got an opportunity right now for Quinn Hughes to play with different players, put him out there with Spurgeon and get different looks on the road and put players in different positions so that when you get into those scenarios in the first round of the playoffs, tendencies between players, between Spurgeon and maybe Quinn Hughes, they've played together now for 4 or 5 games. They understand these little tendencies. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of juggling. I said 5 games you need to be ready, maybe 3 or 4. I wouldn't be surprised at some point in these next 10 or 11 games you start to see a lot of different line juggling from Coach Hughes, just to give guys different looks. So you're not just springing this on guys 2 games before the playoffs start and then into the playoffs.
You brought up Hughes and Faber maybe switching things up. Have you noticed something with them since the Olympic break? I mean, the numbers underlying, up 2,400 chances, 5-on-5. They're kind of been a little bit off as far as that. Maybe it's because they're trailing from behind. They're trying to create offensive chances in some of these games, but they had been, for the most part, great together since they started together in mid-December. Have you noticed anything with them in terms of maybe, I don't know if it's like wear and tear, they play so many minutes plus the Olympics, or if you notice just the way that the games have gone, that maybe that's why their numbers may be a little bit different in terms of what they've allowed, goals allowed, stuff like that, when they've been on the ice. I know they play half the game, so.
Yeah, I saw Quinn played 31 minutes there last night. I mean, that's a lot of minutes. I don't care who you are. I mean, I'm not sure right now we need guys playing those kind of minutes. We've got some pretty good defensemen too. So as far as, we talked about health earlier, we got to keep guys healthy. And I know we're pressing and we're trying to win games and we want to get home ice. But that's something we got to look at too. But yeah, I mean, listen, it's offensively, Faber and Hughes just incredibly dynamic. Yes, like next level. I mean, Brock Faber offensively, he's making plays with the puck, guys. We've watched him for 5 years. I mean, he's down low in the offensive zone. He's making toe drags. I mean, he looks unbelievable,
and he's just getting better still. It's just crazy.
He is, and I think they're having so much fun playing this way, those two guys, that when they get into their own zone, and it's not like they've turned their stick over and they're just saving all their juice, but in the playoffs, when you come back into your own zone, you have to be 100% engaged to fight and scratch and claw. And right now, defensively, I don't see it. I see it around 75, 70%. It's not terrible, but it's not where it's going to need to play when you play the Dallas Stars. And at some point, if those two guys play together, you're going to have to give up something offensively to make sure that when you come back into your own zone, you've got more jump in the tank, because you're going to be playing for 90 seconds in your own zone from time to time against the Dallas Stars. I don't care how good defensively you are. And, when you're playing Toronto and Philly, they're not going to pin you in your own zone for 90 seconds, and it doesn't hurt you quite as often. But when you're playing higher end teams, you're going to be spending more time in your zone. So I'd like to see them clean up that area of the game a little bit more, but they're so dynamic offensively. How do you, it's a tough job for Coach Hines to have those kind of players, because they're so gifted offensively. You want them to go, but defensively, they need to buckle down a little bit more. And hopefully as we get closer to the end of the season, that will happen with the whole team, to be honest.
Who would be the odd man out for you when Marcus Foligno is healthy? Who would be your third and fourth line when he's back, and assuming Bobby Brink is healthy, which he should be back.
So Bobby Brink's in the top 9 if he's back. I would have to start game 1. I would have McCarron. I would have McCarron and the Foligno brothers.
Mm-hmm. As your fourth line.
Let me take.
You still have Trenyon too. You still have Trenyon.
No, I would have Marcus Foligno, Trenyon, and McCarron as my fourth line. I would have Nick Foligno on the outside looking in, only because we traded for him. Mm-hmm. The one area that Nick Foligno has an upside, or maybe a foot ahead of Nico Sturm, to play ahead of Nico Sturm, is simply because Marcus Foligno or Nick Foligno can take faceoffs on his strong side, and he's as a lefty, and and he's played left wing before. I don't know if Nico Sturm's played much left wing before, if he has to play with McCarron. So listen, there's going to be so many injuries, guys. It's not going to matter. I mean, yes, in a perfect world for me, Trenyon, Marcus Foligno, and McCarron, that is going to be guys. Do you remember? I don't know if we've had a fourth line like that going into the playoffs, where with guys like Jamie Benn and Dallas, how they like to play physical and run around a little bit. That might slow them down or give them second thoughts about how to play. And they've got the fourth line. They've got some guys that can finish a little bit too. So the other area that the Wild have really struggled in the playoffs the last 3 rounds is I went back and looked at the last 18 games, guys, in the playoffs. They've all gone 6 games, and we lost them all. We've scored 2 goals in 18 games from our fourth line players, guys that have played 11 and a half minutes or less.
Jeez.
And that's got to change. And that's got to change if we want to get past these top teams. And so we'll see how that all plays out.
Wasn't one of Marco Rossi last year? Wasn't one of them?
Yeah,
Marco
but
Rossi?
Marco got a couple goals, but I actually looked at that. He had played, I think he averaged 12 or 13 or 14 minutes. But I just specifically looked at guys that were, I think, averaging under 11 and a half minutes, Joe. Okay. And I think I found 2 guys that had goals in 18 games. And I didn't include Marco, although those were fourth line. But just think about Marco scoring those goals, how important they were in that series against Vegas. I mean, yes, we lost in 6 games. I thought we were the better team, to be honest with you. Again, I think I've said that over the last 25 years more than once. But those goals that Marco scored were gigantic goals. And I didn't see I'd have to look back to see if we won those games. There's probably a good chance that we won those games that they scored in. So if you can get some offense from your fourth line, that's going to go a long ways.
Last one for me. How would you handle the goaltending both down the stretch and in the playoffs? And I feel like you're starting to see Gus, let's say, take over, but get more of the starts than Wallstedt. And do you see it as that being the case down the stretch? And you think, hey, it's Gus's net for the playoffs, and then if you have an option, you can go to Wallstedt? Or how would you kind of approach it if you're John Hines in the last 15 plus games?
Yep. Yeah, that's going to be a tricky thing. If you're asking me, I think we play every other day now till we have that 3 days off right at the end. I think in 10
March.
days. So right now it's going to be every other. I got to be honest. The Wild are where they are in the NHL right now in the standings, mostly because of their goaltending. It's been I think the first or second best save percentage. I'm not changing a darn thing. If I'm alternating guys. I'll talk to Gus to see the last couple games, what he wants down the stretch, because he's getting game 1. We all know that. If Gus plays great in game 1 and we win, you stay with him. If he plays great in game 1 and we lose in overtime, I stay with him. If he struggles a little bit at all and is maybe just plays average, because average ain't going to be good enough. You know that. If it's average, then you come back with Wally, and he's going to be ready to go. You've got a fresh Wally, and you just kind of alternate back and forth. And both goalies want the net. They're number ones. They're going to be fighting to keep the net. And that competition we talked about earlier in the podcast with the forwards, that's important, and it's just as important between the goaltenders, because they want to make a name for themselves. They get an opportunity. All the eyes are watching the playoff hockey, and these guys want to get on a roll. And so that competition between the goaltenders is going to be very unique and interesting to watch. I would have no problem alternating at any point. But if Gus plays well, continues to play well, and it plays above average, even if we lose in overtime and both goalies play great, I ain't pulling Gus out. I'm going to stay with him.
So not like 2 years ago when Gus went overtime in game 1 and they went to Fleury in game 2. So not quite that strict back and forth.
No, not like that. And that did enter my mind, but I didn't bring it up. But
I'll bring it up for you.
Final question brought to you as always by our good friends at Waggle Golf. First, make sure you head over to getyourwaggleon.com. Throw in promo code SP10 to take 10% off your entire order.
Wes, quick words of encouragement to the fans who are still bitching and complaining about Billy Guerin's moving on from Jiricek and why they should be excited for Bobby Brink.
We have fans that are disappointed that we moved on from Jiricek because we think what?
I don't know if they're just angry at Billy or just angry at Jiricek or just annoyed that, that lottery ticket didn't pan out. But Damon Hunt is back with the Minnesota Wild this year.
Yeah.
And Bobby Brink, despite him being a hometown guy or not, I think is a great asset to have. What's your word of encouragement for those who are maybe still stuck in this air of negativity post-trade deadline?
Yeah, I don't like to live in the era of negativity. I just don't. I've always been a positive guy. And, obviously the trade didn't work out the way we all wanted with Jiricek. He was given all kinds of ample opportunity here. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work. Not every trade. No general manager is going to hit on every move. They just aren't. I can go back and even Zito in Florida and Billy, Armstrong in St. Louis, guys, they've made some moves where they look back and go, maybe I shouldn't have pulled the trigger there on that. So, listen, it didn't work out with David. He's going to get a good opportunity somewhere else. Getting the opportunity to bring Bobby Brink back. He's a restricted free agent. He's got a lot of reasons to play well. And I had a chance to meet him up in the press box. He seems like a very respectful, grounded young man who got a little banged up in that last game. And you guys saw his release on that goal. I mean, if he's going to be on your third line and you're looking for matchups in a playoff series and you need someone other than Boldy or Kaprizov to score a big goal, he looks like the kind of guy that needs a half a chance to score. And so that was a pretty nifty move to be able to go out and get a guy how old is Bobby? I think he's 24, 25.
24, yeah.
I mean, to go out and get give up a player like David Jiricek that kind of couldn't really find his way here with the Wild and be able to go get a young player that's got some upside. And I happen to have a friend who's been with the Flyers organization for a long, long time, actually, for about 25 years. And he's a big Bobby Brink fan. And he had a lot of nice things to say about him. As a player, obviously, he was one of the guys that scouted him and brought him in. So most scouts are going to say that anyway. But we've seen in the short time with Bobby Brink here that he can have an impact on games too. So Wild fans, I wouldn't be too concerned about giving up on David Jiricek. He could be a good young player down the road. We don't know, but I thought it was a very, very nice asset to get back and get Bobby Brink, especially being a young player. And the fact that Billy had to move out some younger assets to bring in Quinn Hughes kind of replenishes that cover just a little bit.
Well, thanks again for joining us, Wes. I appreciate it, and maybe we'll have you on during the first round of the playoffs to get your insights if you're not too crazy busy. But thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon at the rink.
Sounds good, boys. Thanks for having me.
Now, some soft tampering. Auston Matthews, the quote from Friedman that made the rounds on Twitter. I was talking to somebody today, an executive in the league, and he's like, listening to Bill Guerin do interviews about how great Auston Matthews is. He's like, Minnesota, why don't you just put up a neon sign outside your building that says, come here, Auston, Quinn is waiting for you.
The Quinn is waiting for you part's very funny.
It is great. I do love that Bill Guerin is doing this. And like people are trying to yell soft tampering. Like, I'm sorry. He can't sit here and say what is objectively true, that he is a great player who just captained his Team USA gold medal run. Like, he's not sitting here being like, I think Auston Matthews would look great in our lineup, or like, gosh, I wish I could have an Auston Matthews. Like, he's literally just saying like, yeah, he's a really good player. I don't know why people are being so mean to him.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a GM talking about.
If he was a Boston Bruin and Bill Guerin was saying those things, would you be pissed off like, oh, tampering?
No, I was saying earlier, I was like, I just don't care. Like what other my first
fans lose their mind over that.
I mean, lose our minds over. They're trying to take Dunkin' Donuts away from us, pal. All right, they're trying to get rid of our.
That's
coffees.
rational, though. Have you had the mini bagel cream cheese bites? Like,
yeah, they're elite. They're incredible.
I'd riot. Yeah, you actually introduced me to those. That was a great move.
It's A+ stuff.
Literally refused to drive. Had to walk there every morning.
Mm-hmm. I need to walk, dude. Always, dude. I'm gonna get on my feet. I'm gonna get moving. That counts as working out. Walking to Dunkin'. That's basically like a gym routine in Men's Health. Like, this is the Boston section. Just walk to Dunkin'. It's like, well, there's Dunkin' 5 feet away from my apartment. No matter where I go, in every direction, we're surrounded on all 4 sides.
Mini bagels, go.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, I didn't. I mean, I don't really like. That's always funny. That's tampering. Like, what? The fucking GMs can't talk about players ever? Like, like, what are you talking about? Also, it was like a league exec that was like, like Bill Guerin, the way he's talking about, it's basically saying it. It was like, okay, so it wasn't from Bill Guerin? Like, it's like, what are you, nuts? I don't really care about what other people are saying about it, but
well, no, the point was like the way that he's just like waxing poetic about Auston Matthews, especially when Toronto is involved and it's like about playing against each other, whatever. They're like, oh, might as well just be saying, Auston, can't wait to have you here. Like, he wasn't saying Bill Guerin is tampering, it being the word. It's more just like, clearly there's a level of admiration there that he wants to make very clear, which, okay, cool.
Yeah. I mean, the other more pressing Auston Matthews situation is obviously Radko Gudas, knee on knee, really fucking bad hit, really bad knee on knee. Gudas gets a 5-gamer. Matthews is done for the season. And I am curious on your thoughts just about the suspension itself. And then, I mean, like, it's very funny if you don't look at the context of the NHL, because Connor McDavid comes out and just basically, I mean, well, the agents go nuts, which is always funny. I love that the agents are the only fucking people in hockey that will go like scorched earth on anyone in an organization or like a league official or whatever. I love when the agents like, fuck, we have Twitter now. Let's just rip these motherfuckers. And being, what's his face? Alan's starting a podcast. And I'm like, oh my God. Alan Walsh. But I'm curious about like, because Connor, again, I think Connor, all he said was, because he got asked about it, he was just like, yeah, no, I mean, it's a hard job. And
it's really hard, but they suck.
It's like, it's a hard job, but it seems like every time there's suspension, everyone on both sides is really mad about it. So I think it's obviously worth sitting down and like looking at the way we're doing things. I don't know if there's a better way to do it. Maybe we should think about that. And I mean, because it's an NHL player saying something about player safety, like, whoa! Well, actually, an NHL player not named Brad Marchand.
No. NHL player being Connor McDavid too. Like, this isn't the same thing if it's Jared Spurgeon talking about it. Like, it's Connor McDavid.
But I'd like your thoughts on the suspension itself and then just player safety as a whole. Because I mean, every time there's a suspension, which by the way, that's always going to happen no matter what. But like, there is uproar constantly. But like, what do you think?
There's a lot of layers to this, and I know today, American Wyshynski, like, this was 90% of their episode of the sheet today. But at the end of it, Zach came in when Wyshynski left, and he had a really good point. It's like, don't have the phone hearing, at least have the in-person hearing. And
that's where I'm at.
Pretend that you like give a shit. And if you still land on 5, then you can at least say you vetted it out. But when you do the phone hearing, you're capping it at 5, which is insane to me. And I don't know how we have the conversation or properly measure the value of a player who gets hurt. Because let's be real, if this happens to, I mean, I guess bad time to say it because he's 2-goal guy now, but Bo Grew, right? If he's the one that takes that knee to knee, it's not the same as Auston Matthews taking that knee to knee. But I don't know how you properly like draw the line of like, okay, where do you stop caring about how good this player is when you evaluate it? But for me, it's tougher because how is what he did equivalent to what Evgeny Malkin did? That's what like bothers me. Like 5 games just feels like the chip that gets thrown. I don't think that anything changes because McDavid will make that comment and then he won't do another thing about it. Right? It takes him going to like Marty Walsh and being like, hey, I'm not happy with this. Then maybe something happens because the problem is this isn't league versus player. This is player versus player. This is Gudas versus Matthews. And I don't know what you do if you're the NHLPA on this, where it's like, I don't want to fuck Gudas. I don't want to fuck Matthews. How do I not do either? So it's tough. I mean, and do I think that his goal was to go knee to knee and take Matthews out for the rest of the season? I hope not. But it doesn't matter because it happened.
Right.
And
I think there's a difference. There's a difference too between like intent and then just being reckless. And like Radko Gudas is a fairly reckless.
No, 100%. He's reckless by nature. Different. He's a wrecking ball. Like So I don't. Is 5 enough? No.
Right.
Do I think there's a solution? Also, no. Like I don't think anything will change. It should be very solvable because this isn't something where again like. The players aren't going to have to negotiate and give up the Olympics again to make this change because the NHL doesn't give a shit. This is player versus player. And until the players speak out and say, this is a problem, not just speaking to the media, they have to actually go to the representation and be like, fuck this. Like, protect the good players. Don't protect Radko Gudas. That's not going to happen because that's just not how hockey players conduct themselves. Nothing's changing.
Yeah. That's where I land in a similar spot where, I agree. 5 was, I mean, come on. Like, but sometimes what drives me nuts too is, well, first of all, they just signed a CBA in record time. Like they just said if they really were very invested in this and if the players themselves were all pissed off about the job the player safety is doing, which by the way, they get stuff wrong, they get stuff right, whatever. Maybe they need to change around fines as well, by the way, because sometimes it's like, I don't know, but like sometimes it's like a ridiculous fine and they're like the maximum allowed by the CBA. And I'm like, so there you go. There's another thing that you could talk about in the CBA, but you guys got the Olympics, you got your way with a few other things. And like, you're like, all right, we don't really need to read the rest of this. So sometimes with the players, like, bro, you guys do, in theory, you can do something. And they're like, well, who's going to do something about this? Yeah. And the NHL, like every time that they go to like an in-person or it's a 6-gamer or plus, they end up appealing pretty much every single time. And like people, I'm like, they're like, well, we have to protect everyone. We want to make sure they're not losing all the money. We don't.
I think that gets overblown. I think
you do know that you can just come together as like the NHLPA and be like, hey man, this one we can't. Like, I mean, you can't do that. Like, we will have your back if there's a bad one.
So,
and everyone's like, they would never do that. I'm like, yeah, I know. So why are we talking about it? Like, that's where I'm always just like, I know they will never do it. So that I don't really feel bad for it. Well, I mean, I feel bad when they get hurt, obviously. But I'm saying, well, like, when they're talking about the system, which almost never happens, it's the agents coming out with it. But like McDavid, and again, I'm not even like getting mad at Connor McDavid. I'm just saying, like, if you are serious, like if you are worried about this, because by the way, McDavid's killed a couple people and didn't get shit. Like he finally got suspended. Was it last year or 2 years ago? He had a couple bad ones, and I was like, man, there was a play that happened 2 days ago. The other guy got 4.
It's the classic thoughts and prayers tweet, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do shit. Like, this doesn't impact anything, but I want everyone to think about me today, and I want everyone to know that I care.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
I mean, like, and I'm sure, like, McDavid got asked that question. Like, if he didn't get asked that question, he wouldn't have said it, right? So
probably not.
Like,
right?
That's where I'm at with the NHLPA. I'm like, you kind of have to decide now, like, if you really are fired up about the way that this works, it's how some of the suspensions get handed down. If you feel like some of it's not enough, then maybe like, because like when Shanahan first came in, by the way, like Harris is by far the one that's lasted the longest in this job. I always forget that, like,
that's just because he has a Harvard degree.
It's just not a job that people are like, yeah, we'll keep this one forever.
But how many times have they walked into his office wanting to hire him, and they look up on the wall and they see the framed Harvard things, like, fuck, all right, so
yeah. But like, part of me is just like, you guys appeal every single big one. So like, what?
Well, and so
there is a way, if you care, but like, there is a way to sit down and actually advocate to make some changes here. And if you really can't stomach the thought of like, well, we need to make sure every guy keeps as much money as humanly possible, so we always have to appeal the big suspensions. And I'm like, okay, you know what?
True, Auston Matthews isn't losing money.
Well, I'm also just like, you know what? That you guys can just be like this. You can say, you know what? We have to stop having a stick up our ass. Fine. You want this will never happen because it's the NHL. Get a third party. Have a third party mediator.
That's the answer, but the problem is
they don't know hockey. I'm like, I know exactly. So what are you guys gonna do about it? So then it's on you. Hockey. You have to do this then.
But it is true that's at least a concern. But so one thing that was brought up, and I've always wanted this for salary arbitration. I think it would be so good, but I think it could also work in this scenario. Matthews and Gudas, their camps both come forward and propose X amount of game suspension. The league gives what they objectively would do, and whoever's closer to the league ruling wins. It is that. And I want that for salary arbitrations, because I hate the bullshit of like, oh, I'm going to go super low as the team and I'm going to go super high as the player. Oh, we're going to meet in the middle. Like, fuck that. It's the same dance every time. I want it to be, you both come with a number. Arbitrator comes in and gives their number, and whoever's closer to that number gets the number they said. Right? So like randomly, like a player thinks that an arbitrator awards like $6 million for a player. The player asks for $8 million. The team offers, let's call it $3.5 million. The player's $2 million off. The team is I don't know. I'm not doing the math right, but it's like whoever's closer, that player then gets the full award, or the team gets the full award instead of going with the arbitrator's middle ruling. Like, I love that, because then it keeps you honest to not stray too far out, because then you're screwing yourself.
Yeah. It's funny too. I just feel like outside of the I think the contract thing and then the player safety thing, it's obviously like two different things. But like sometimes with specifically with the player safety issue, as far as like how many games is something worth suspending, I do like, again, it's fucking hard to like try to figure that out. But I also still think we've overcomplicated to the point where it's like, is it at the point where player safety is like, I mean, we're going to go with 5 because if we go 6, 7, 8, it's going to get appealed, then it's going to come down 1 or 2 games, or we're just going to whatever. But I'm like, I feel like we've overcomplicated this, fellas, where it's like the NHLPA can do something about this outside of just appealing every single fucking big suspension. Because you remember, like when Shanahan first came in, he was like, "We're everyone, anything bad, you're getting 15, you're getting 10, you're getting 12, you're getting 11." Yeah. And everyone was like, well, then they start freaking out, and then everything changed. And I'm like, okay, I know it's boring to sit down and read like through CBAs and negotiate. Like that's the boring part of being like in the NHL or like any job or whatever. But like you kind of like the players have to take some responsibility outside of just being like, we're mad, or I'm mad that like the guy that like hit me is getting this suspension. Same time, I want everyone to make sure we keep all the money, so we're gonna peel the fuck out of it. It's happened to someone else. It's just not even. It's just never gonna be done right in everyone's eyes. But I don't know. It's the conversation. I always it ends up going in circles over and over and over and over again. And like it ends up being just because Paris is the head of player safety. Like I just like landing on Paris, and he's getting shit on every single time. Probably like this is a whole systemic thing. The players have a part to play here, so that's it.
Yeah, I think the onus falls on the players to make a change.
Yeah, they can.
Because it is tough where I understand the NHLPA's position where it's like, I'm defending both sides. Mm-hmm. It's like the parents arbitrating between 2 kids that got into a scrap. Like, I can't pick sides. I want to try and find a middle ground here. I don't know. Right. So, yeah, it sucks. But I do love that there's at least a portion of Toronto fans that want Matthews gone, and I would give up everything.
I mean, he would look nice in a Wild jersey, that's for sure.
Like, literally, who won't you trade in that scenario? It's probably just Boldy, Kaprizov, Faber, and Hughes, right? Like, is there anyone else on the nope list? Like, I would do unspeakable things. And it's crazy that people are like, I don't want him. He's not a good player. Look at how this season has gone. He's still gonna put up like stupid goal totals, even though he's out for the end of the year. Like doing things that Wild players can't do. He's a two-way player. He is. Where would you place him? We start next season, regardless of whether he's in Toronto or gets traded elsewhere. Is he a top 3 center, top 5 center, top 10 center, higher than that? Like, where do you place Auston Matthews in the sphere of the NHL?
As far as centers go, I'd probably go right now. I'd probably top 8, 9.
Oh, you're going that far?
Yeah, I mean, I just look around.
All right, let's do this. Let's hash this out. Like, give me your top 5 right now. And they don't have to be in order. Just give me your top 5.
I'd put McKinnon in there, obviously. McDavid in there, obviously. Draisaitl's in there.
Yep.
I think Eichel surpassed him at this point.
That's where I think it's comparable, but I'm taking Matthews. You're not crazy saying Eichel. You're not. Like, I get it. If I have to pick between the two for next season, I'm taking Matthews.
Yeah. Throw Barkov in there.
Fair.
God,
So that's the list for me. Like, Crosby, I still think is probably better than both Matthews and Eichel, but I understand why people don't feel that way. And again, he's probably at the end of his career. I don't know. Maybe he'll play another 4 or 5 years. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
But I think Crosby is flirting in that conversation. But is there anyone else that you see in that discussion? Because I can't think of anyone. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be able to pull one up after we're off and be like, oh, fuck, I didn't even remember. Like, he's up there. I'm just saying, like, past couple years, I've had Eichel surpass or whatever.
No, again, that one I'm not going to fight you on. Like, I respect that opinion. I would lean the other way, but it's splitting hairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is there anyone else that's even in that mix? I'm just trying to think. Who could we be missing?
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, I don't have one.
I don't think I do either.
But I mean, he would look great here. That's what
that puts him firmly top 7. It sounds like. Yes.
Yeah, in that region. Yeah, I'll go 7, 8, 9. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Now, Gopher Hockey. It just sucks because there's a lot of things that could have gone differently this year. Do I think the Gophers were going to win the Natty? No. But should this have been a team that barely squeaked in the top 30 of NPI? No. Like, they deserved a better fate. They had the hardest strength of schedule, period. They lost ridiculous amounts of players, which we'll get into here in a second. I know Mateo has graphics ready, but like, this is a team on paper that should have been better. The goaltending was figured out. Like, DePasquo is the guy, and he will be that guy next year. He is legit. I am curious to see whether or not Ari stays. I would put my betting money on him staying because he loves the team and the community. Like, he's already married, and his wife.
It's so funny to me.
It is strange. It's different, but really good kid. Like, it was very fun sitting down with him and Soulier, and of course the goalie coach when Isha and I did last summer. But I feel like if things go the way we would expect this summer, I don't see any flight risks of like meaningful players outside of, I guess, Tanner Ludke. Like, there's a lot of guys that are on the fringe of this roster that will leave. I think on the blue line, no one's leaving. If anything, we need to find a way to add OHL or transfer portal. I think forward group, like if Zemer left, whether it was getting big NIL money in a different school or going pro, that hurts. Mooney somehow leaving, that hurts. Outside of that, I think this roster is staying intact outside of the seniors leaving.
Mm-hmm.
And then you bring in a Christian Humphries like we talked about. We've got some colon injection. I think this is a team that's going to not necessarily be like immensely better than this year, but everyone's a year older and you didn't lose a ton outside of Cal Thomas and Luke Middlestat. That is a big blow. The blue line has some things to be figured out, but the goaltending is there. The forward group is there. This is a team, when you look across the Big Ten at players that are going to fall by the wayside going pro, the Gophers could be right back in the mix next year.
Mm-hmm.
I need Zemer and Mooney to stay. And if that all happens, I have every bit of faith that the Gophers are right back into the mix next year. Let's talk about why it went badly. Oh, yeah, we had 6 notable players leave when I would argue 1 or 2 should have left.
Yeah.
You can even make the argument of 3, whatever, but like there's a lot that went into the demise of the Gophers. Really tough schedule and players being gone. The real question becomes, and we'll never know the answer to this because like they shouldn't share this, if we're being honest. I don't know if the players wanted to leave or if they were coerced into leaving by their agent or by the team. Like, what was the rationale for leaving? We'll never know. But I think it's easy to point and say maybe this year wasn't the year for some of these guys. So, Mateo, let's get into the first one, which is the only one that I can firmly say no one was going to argue against. Jimmy Snuggerud. 55 games played in the NHL this year, 15 goals, 20 assists, and first rookie that's a Gopher alum to make NHL like weekly honors as a top 3 star. I think he had like 5 goals in 4 games and he had some assists piled on top of that. Like, we all knew Jimmy Snuggerud needed to leave after his junior year. There's a lot of people that thought he was going to leave after his sophomore year, and he didn't. He stayed, developed his game even further, and was more ready. And I thought that was going to pave the way to more Gophers staying for 1 more year. Did not fucking happen. Didn't. Which is a bummer. And again, I think historically, Chicago, of all teams, has been quick to push people to the NHL. They don't trust college teams, particularly the Gophers. Granted, it's not Lucia anymore, so it is different. But like Leddy was basically ripped out of the Gophers because they did not trust his development there. I think Rinzel and Moore leaving, I think it was a package deal. Like, they came in as freshman roommates together. They were both drafted to the Blackhawks, which is fun. They were a whole big media sprint for the Blackhawks. You were never going to see Rinzel leave without more following, so I get that. I think both of them could have stayed. I understand Rinzel, though, doing what he did, even though it wasn't as great. So let's transition to that one. Rinzel, this year, 38 games played, 3 goals, 9 assists, which, like, we've talked about it with defensemen for the Wild. You cannot judge them this early based on points or production or anything you see. Like, it's early, it's growing pains, but he's also played 23 games in the AHL, 2 goals, 12 assists. Like, tweener, I get it. Again, I'm not going to fault Rinzel for going. He was the other one with Snuggerud that I thought would probably go. It's the rest of the group that I was a little bit more concerned. But just generally, from your perspective, Z, if you were Rinzel, would you have gone pro? And beyond that, like, what do you think of what he's done this year?
Yeah, I mean, I was 50-50 when he left. I think when you look at, I mean, like, actually, and it's what's just funny, like, sticking with Chicago, I think someone like a Lev Shunov should have done one more year at least at Michigan State.
Yeah.
I think any college defenseman, minimum 2 years, unless you are literally, like, just out of control good. Like, I mean, if you've, like, proved that you're the best player in college hockey as a freshman playing, like, I get it.
Look at Power. He stayed.
Right. I mean, McCarron did 2 years at fucking UMass. You know what I mean? Like, so this is just like where we're at. Like, I think Rinzel, with how good he was to playing college hockey, his sophomore season at fucking Minnesota was
first half. First half was sick, and then he tapered off hard.
Yeah. Fair.
I couldn't have been higher on him the first half of the year. Like, I was absolutely.
There was a very weird year. There was a very
second
weird
half,
year.
He kind of just like gave up.
That second half of that year in Minnesota was weird.
Agreed, but he was the like peak of the weirdness.
Yeah, and I think he would have benefited maybe from another year. And like, there's also no reason to go play in the NHL with Chicago right now as a young defenseman. So like,
I
think
probably assured he'd get more time, and it didn't happen.
Well, I mean, either way, like also like they've had a couple like dumpster fires as far as like some of the young players coming in, but like young defensemen specific. Like, I mean, look at like Korchinski they rushed him in too.
Is he available?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. It's possible, but like that hasn't gone well.
Interesting.
He got rushed in, so I think there's just been a couple guys that they've rushed really fast, and like it's weird that they've done it to some defensemen, and like we'll talk about Oliver Moore in a second, but like who's a forward, obviously. No, I do know that. I do that before, like I was talking about defense, I was like, and we'll talk about Oliver Moore as well. I do know he's not a defenseman, guys. Yeah, so I think when Rinzel signed, I was like 50-50. I was like, probably could have benefited from another year of college hockey, like any young defenseman, but I did understand it to a certain extent. But
yeah.
For me, it's more so just like with where that Chicago team was, I was like, I think maybe you could have benefited from just playing another year high school. Like people forget too, like this is a kid that like Chicago took a swing on in the first round out of high school. What was he, 26th? I think it was 24th, 25th.
I thought 26th, but
I think 25th. I think 25th overall that first round. But I thought they were in a spot where they could benefit from just like letting him cook in college hockey for a little bit. So that being said, 2 years usually the time when they go for a first rounder, but he's that young.
25th overall.
It was 25th, yeah. His June birthday, I was like, he could probably benefit from another junior year. Like, also, why are you like forcing him to come play? Like, he played a cup of coffee after he signed. It looked really good too. And beginning of this NHL season, he made a ton of really good plays as well. And then Chicago just they're up against it here. So I think he probably would have benefited from another year of college hockey. I also don't really think
I absolutely thought he would benefit, but I wasn't shocked he left. He's not among the group. I'm not like shocked or bothered that he left. I was like you, 50-50.
Yeah. So again, I think I'm not gonna possibly judge like his future off of this year or whatever. And again, like beginning of the year, I thought he looked really fucking good beginning of the year. Like I remember he played one of their games against Boston. He was like a fucking animal early on this season. I was like, oh my god, like,
he'll be a long-term top 4 defenseman for Chicago easily.
Yeah, so it's easy. But
yep.
Yeah. Again, that was just the guy that we were like, I think it would probably be a good idea for him to stay if he leaves. I get it, but
100%.
That sucked.
So Mateo, next up, we've got Oliver Moore, who shockingly has actually stuck in the NHL more, and I don't mean that as a pun on last name, more than Sam Rinzel. 51 games played, 5 goals, 14 assists. AHL, 9 games played, 6 goals, 3 assists. Oliver Moore, I thought, could have come back and dominated college hockey and really ascended in a different way. I thought him going pro was premature, but again, it's not like he couldn't do it. And again, when your freshman roommate is Sam Rinzel, you're both drafted to the same team and everything is promoted around both of you going to the Blackhawks. I feel like this was a pressure situation. How do I say no? Why wouldn't I go? Type of thing. It's like, I blame no player for going pro. I just hope they do it for reasons that are in their control versus the team forcing you. So like if his whole thing was like, holy shit, me and Sam can go together. We're boys. I want to make that pro payday. Like, I respect it. If it was the Blackhawks forcing him out, fuck you, Chicago. It's basically where I land.
Yeah, I kind of feel like a lot of the time too, it's the team like, yeah, we'd like to sign you right now. And they're like, yes, because they never know what's going to happen next year or whatever.
Totally.
I always wonder about that, but same time, yeah, that was another one. I was like, I probably would have waited another year, but whatever.
He wasn't 50-50 for me.
The thing is, like, it's just the fact that it's Chicago. Like, I don't if they really wanted their college kids to sign right away, I don't understand that, to be honest, because like they probably would have just benefited from letting those young kids to keep developing where they were developing and keep playing where they're playing, and then not ask them to go play in the NHL at the same exact time. Like, I mean, like they had Korchinski, Moore, Levshunov, and Sam Rinzel play the same team at a certain point. It's like, what are you doing? Like, you're still bad. And like Frondell wasn't even like, people were like, maybe Frondell makes a team out of camp. And I was like, if he does, that's a problem. Like, that's a big problem if Anton Frondell makes a team out of camp. Like, I don't understand what your goal is here. So same time, I still having the same boat as just being like, yeah, I would have probably been like, yeah, one more year, but who knows? If a team's like, yeah, we'll sign you right now, the player is always going to be like, yes, unless they push early, like, I want to play one more year. Then usually, if that offer's there, they're going to take it because they never know what's going to happen next season. Right. But I still think his draft pedigree was high enough, though, that like he could have. I don't think he would have had any reason to be worried about what's going to happen if he doesn't play well, because he was always going to. But again, it's funny too. Look at his underlying
number. Wild should have drafted him. Wild should have drafted him, and it would all be fixed. If only they didn't draft where they drafted.
There are certain bits we're going to have to let go of eventually here.
I can't believe the level of anger that fans had that the Wild didn't take a player that was taken before they had a pick. Like, it's insane.
He was sitting right there.
I do love Alvermore, though. Really good kid. Skates
his defensive metrics are really good.
Anyone. But yeah. I do think another year of college would have done him well. Next up, Mateo.
That poor bastard, by the way, decided to fight Alexander Nikishin Nikishin on his own birthday.
Tough.
Got fed his lunch. Hey, good, good for him for doing it.
Next up is Matthew Wood. Played 55 games so far this year, 14 goals, 10 assists, AHL 5 games, 1 goal, 3 assists. It's funny because like the games that Matthew Wood popped off, he has popped off and stood out. Like he's had a hat trick game, he's had a couple of multi-goal games. He's played well, and I feel like he's a guy that like was a weird tweener where like he could play in the NHL and no one's gonna bat an eye. He's not gonna be a standout, but like he can fit in because of the way he reads the game, but also like another year of college would not have hurt him either. I really held out hope that he would stay, and I didn't know because he came later in the whole process of like people announcing. I wondered if he might have stayed if other guys did. I don't know for sure, but he went done and done. I assume you're with me that he probably would have benefited from another year of college.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to argue.
I mean, if Kurth stayed, him, Kurth, and Jimmy, best fourth line in existence.
Yeah, great bit. One of our favorite bits. That being said, it's hard to argue. Like, he's looked really fucking good.
He's been
in his
solid.
games. Obviously you mentioned like he's had a couple multi-goal games, but even the games where he wasn't necessarily like popping off or like scoring goals, he's looked like an NHL player. I think 3 years college hockey for a kid that's like a big power forward who's got an absolute cannon of a shot. Like I understood it. So this one, I'm like, yeah, I get it. What?
He played 2 at UConn?
2 at UConn, yep.
Oh, I thought he played 1. All right.
Yeah, no, his draft year he played at UConn.
Okay. Fair. Yeah, he's been solid. And again, he's a guy that reads the game well. I am a little surprised that he's done as well as he has, but I'm very happy for him. Like, really good kid. I am not cheering against him in any way, but damn, 1 more year of college certainly wouldn't have hurt his development, but I understood him going. Him and Rinzel were both 50-50s for me. But I mean, as we've seen here, plenty left. So it is what it is. Next one, Mateo, we've got, this one really hurt. Chesley leaves, plays only AHL games, which I feel like he had to have known was likely the case. Now, granted, it is a different story because the Hershey Bears are a prestigious AHL team. They're basically the anti-Iowa Wild. So if you're going to go to an AHL team, like, all the power to you. But this is a guy that could have came in and been the man for the Gophers this year. He could have been quarterbacking the power play, could have been munching minutes there with Luke Middlestat. I was not surprised because of the person, because I know Chesley, like, it's kind of been an eye on going pro. But damn, if he couldn't have been the guy for the Gophers this year if he stayed. And I just held out hope that he would stay for that reason, since there was no room for him to be a pro with the Capitals.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah. So that's where I think it's at. It's like, for Minnesota, it's like, sir, please, sir, stay, please, sir. Same time he left, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. 3 years.
No,
just
2.
Played 3 at Minnesota.
Did he play 3?
Yeah.
I thought it would have been his junior year this year. Oops.
No, last year was junior.
All right.
I was like, yeah, no, I get it. It wasn't surprised when he left. Again, Hershey, when he got drafted with the Caps, I was like, God damn it, he's gonna be so good. I already knew he was gonna be a legit NHL player eventually one day, and I was like, fuck. The Caps took him. I was like, that's about as good a spot as you could be in. It's like Eddie Young prospect. And again, like, he'll probably be in Hershey for another year or 2 before he gets to the NHL. So, and again,
gone.
Defenseman. So, but yeah, no, I thought either way, like, it would have been awesome for Minnesota, obviously, if he stayed. But for him, I was like, it's not bad.
Absolutely a junior. Fuck. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. No. So I was like, yeah, no.
Cut me off. Cut me off.
Cut me off. Bartender.
I don't know why I was so convinced for a second that he was a sophomore, and now I'm like, oh yeah, no shit, he was a junior. Why did I think he was a sophomore for a second? Yep. But still, I thought he was not ready to go and make an impact. Like, I don't know. I really held out hope he'd stay, but I know there was conjecture internally, like, yeah, this guy wants to go pro, so he's going to go pro, whatever. Mm-hmm. The last one is the one that hurts me the most. It cut me deep. It was Connor Kurth. And it obviously hasn't boded great for him that he's only played in the ECHL this year. I know he got some AHL stints right when he signed, but 53 games, 9 goals, 5 assists. This is a guy that could have made a huge difference with the Gophers and obviously hasn't seen this season transpire the way he had hoped. I feel bad because I'm sure I would think there was a pitch. I would think that the Lightning pushed him, but I don't know. It just sucks to know that he would have been such an impact guy for the Gophers and that things have not worked out for him outside of the Gophers.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy too. Like you look at the 3 years that he was at Minnesota, each year he doubled up in points basically.
He leveled up hard.
Like every year. So you're curious. Like, so when he signed, it was like, oh, I guess like 3 years. I guess that's kind of the standard sometimes.
Yeah.
But you're like 6th-round pick. Like usually you stick around for 4, and like sometimes you somehow find a way to like redshirt for a 5th year. I don't know how that works out sometimes, but it does.
And like, hey, have a chance to sign somewhere else if you don't think you're going to work your way up the Lightning lineup, right?
Yeah, and I also strongly encourage everyone to go check out his hockey DB photo. It's got like him with a massive gash on his nose, and it rules. With the Lightning jersey on. So. Yeah, no, that one was, again, it was like all right, 3rd year. A lot of times this is how this goes, but we'll see if we can stick in the A.
It's a big gash.
5. Yeah, it's a massive gap, like a possible broken nose. And then above that is an old scar, clearly, which also rules. So Connor Kurth's a beauty. Love him.
I love Connor Kurth, but I'm sad that it played out this way.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you that have been here for a while, thank you for stopping by again. Those of you that are new to the show, check out everything that the SOTA Media Network has to offer. If you go to the SOTA Pod YouTube channel or check out the SOTA Pod wherever you get your podcasts, you can actually see a full lineup of shows covering college hockey, covering Minnesota Wild analytics, prospects, NHL draft, interviews with players, you name it. So do check those out. And if you could give us a little subscribe, positive review, anything you're willing to do is immensely appreciated and helps way more than you know. But otherwise, we will catch you guys back here next week with plenty to talk about as we go down this stretch run for the Minnesota Wild pushing towards the playoffs. Stay classy, stay hockey.